Good morning everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I'm continuing to work on my Roxy Journal of Stitchery prompts for volume 6, which was winter flowers, a visitor to the garden and berries. And because I'm down to the last page of my journal, I'm combining all of the prompts together on a double page spread. Now if you've watched the previous video, you'll know that when I finish stitching and adding and embellishing this fabric section, I plan to use a napkin, add some glue and add in the elements to build a scene around the piece based on these. So I've still got my little bits and bobs here from the first video. I just don't want them adhered yet because the manhandling of the fabric can start to break down the integrity of that style of, paper onto fabric. So I was sitting here stitching. I've been picking it up each morning and doing a little bit of work on it. I've done around the front of the house here, all of this shrubbery is French knots, and here comes the fudge, of course. So you can see French knots, and I have used some wool to stitch the 3 little flowers and some French knots in like a apricot-y pink in the center. Good morning, Mr. Fudge. How are you? The little bird, I haven't overstitched him yet. At the moment, he's staying as he is because I did consider changing his colouring a little bit. But what I did do is I stitched over the berries and just made them distinctively different to the little bird. Whoever had created this stitchery on this doily had used the same colour. So I thought, no, I'm going to make them berry-like. Now, what happened this morning is I sat down to start thread painting this rose, and I just didn't like what I was doing. You can see on the back, I stitched, I stitched through there and then I pulled it all out. And I thought, I just don't have the energy to thread paint a rose. If there's any flower that's the hardest to thread paint, it's roses. And this guy has a lot of detail in it. And I don't know, I think it's because I've got a house full of people at the moment and parties and celebrations and Christmases and New Year's and, all of the palaver that goes with that. I just felt like coming in here and just doing something a little bit random. Now the prompt winter flower, I think it is. Excuse me if that's actually wrong. I just thought, well, let's create our own. So I went and grabbed the scraps that I've got lying on my bench from cutting up my quilt, and then I also grabbed my big scrap box in case this wasn't enough. So the plan is to create a fantasable, is that a word? A fantasy flower. Does not exist in real life, but I just felt like I could do something a little bit more abstract. I thought I was going to sneeze then, and now the fudge has joined us. So goodness me, fudgy. So I'm just going to thread up a needle and thread in case I want to put a little stitch here and there to hold some elements down. Will this look like a rose by the time we're finished? Most likely not, but that's okay. I just don't seem to have the patience for thread painting at the moment. It's interesting when you pick up your needle and thread, how you feel is sort of how it goes. So yeah. Let's have a look. We need some reds, probably some lights, maybe a little bit of pink. Let's just see what we've got here. There are some blues mixed in this. Bit of beige. Like, they're not bad. See, they could become some petals for me. Let's start with those. They seem too good not to utilise. How are we going to do it? So yeah, that's what I'm up to. We're going to randomly create a random flower with lots of texture. Oh, maybe I'm a little bit thread painted out. Maybe I somehow think it's the house full of people, and thread painting is one of those intense time munching activities, and I'm sort of doing a little bit of stitching, putting it down, jumping up. Who wants a cup of tea? Who'd like a cake? You know, so I'm sort of not in that zone. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to come into my room and I'm going to chat to you guys and create a random floral something or other. So everyone's been told, shh, no yibby yapper. Doesn't matter. Half of them are still asleep, so it's okay. Everyone's had their cup of tea for the morning and a bowl of cornflakes, so we're all good. We're all good. Fudgy's already heading back off because he's got people in the house. That scrolly piece there, what I might do is just pinch a few bits of it and see if they could be used. So this is, I guess, technically fabric collaging, where you take bits and pieces of random shapes. It could be lace, can be fabric, and you look at shape, because you've usually sorted your colours out. You've got a bit of a feel for your colour palette, and I'm still going with the red rose colour, well, the red flower colour. I've gathered a little bundle of bits and bobs that are in those tones, and now I'm just looking at shapes, just whether they are shapes that are going to be any good to me, who knows. Then it's a case of maybe cutting some other shapes that even, who knows. I am glancing down to my rose here and see that petal there. That sort of gave me a feeling that maybe I could cut like a jelly bean-ish shape. And that could be there. And we want to cover the one below, the flower below, because we're changing its colour somewhat. So I'm going to sort of start making my petals probably a little bit more generous. I can get another little bit. I think this is going to be the outer ring of our flower. I'm going to stop calling it a rose now because I don't think it'll look like a rose. It might, but I don't think it will. I'll just call it the flower. Pop that there. So we're using the artist before us guide and then going from there. So they have drawn these petals around the outside, so I'm thinking it's a good idea that we follow suit, because that's going to keep our, I guess, perimeter of our flower in line. Now we might put another petal there, so in my head it needs to be roughly shaped like that. There's nothing stopping you getting the tracing paper out, tracing those petals, making them slightly bigger so that you're covering everything below, and then, you know, building up your flower. So it's pretty much the same technique as we used on my panel where I had drawn the picture and we backfilled it with textiles. So there we go. Now at this point you might decide whether that's a little bit same, so you can't see definition. I might zoom in actually. I just looked up at the TV. I might just zoom us in. So there's an opportunity that maybe we could pick up a different fabric and start swapping out. See, now when I zoom in, you don't get to see as much of fabric choice and cutting. So let me just keep an eye on that for you. So we could put that little guy there, which I like. I do like. So to give it texture, we might leave him and just insert him. This is a little something something. Let's go back to that fabric and see if there's maybe another opportunity for a petal. So we're really thickening it up. Now you can, at this point, if you're starting to think that your background is where you want it, these petals, you could pull out a glue stick There's glue sticks for the quilting industry. These types of things that have like a little bit of glue, so you could put a dob on and start placing. You could use your little applique pins. That's those tiny itty bitty guys, those little ones. They would work. If you're like me, I sort of just keep placing and fiddling, and then when I've got a few layers, I'd go for a long pin, sharp, long, thin pin, and try and catch a few different areas. That'd be probably my go-to. Yes, Fudgy. Yeah. So I'm just going to, he's in the ensuite to the side of me, so his little meow meow is getting very echoey. Yeah, I know. So, Pussy, come here. You know, you change something in a room and a cat just goes, that's not right, because we've got families staying. That bathroom is being utilised and there's a floor mat in there, which is not usually in there. So he's in there turning around on that floor mat and announcing that there's a floor mat here. Mum, did you realise there's a floor mat? They're funny, aren't they? So I just picked up this darker and I thought maybe we could get a bit of darkness in, you know, where the flowers really get increased. Let's try that. Last night I was talking to my mother-in-law about the Volume 7 Roxy project, which is still life. And in the process of talking to her about it, I grabbed a pen and paper and we just sort of started, it was like me trying to describe what exactly it's all about, and sort of just started sketching, you know, a still life just with a black pen and a scrappy piece of paper. And oh gosh, I got excited about the project. It really started to come alive for me. So I might, so I've sort of got this little thing happening here. He's in the sink now. Fudge! What you doing? Maybe we can bring some of these little elements in and let's get a little bit silly. That to me is the wrong colour. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, I'm going to leave him in there. Where did I get that scroll from? There, that rusty colour is quite good. Yet the pale pink that I cut out, no, not so good. So we need a big petal here. So we've got a couple options. We could go down the lace crocheting, but I've only really got beiges. Hang on a minute, someone gave me a flower at the retreat. Where is that? Here we go. Oh, who was that now? Someone went around with some crocheted bits and pieces. Look, maybe we can do something with those. I'm starting to create a basket of crocheting that is a different colour. So you can see there's greens, pinks, oranges. Those little guys have ended up in there. Just for when I do things like this, I've got one spot I can go to where if I want that crocheted element and it's a tone of something. Look at this. It's just not quite the right colour, is it? I wonder if it'd work if I just took a tiny bit of it and then we found a colour that can pull it back down to this rusty. I'm going to try, guys. Let's snip one of these circles. At the end of the day, I'm looking at that shape. That's all I'm really worried about at this stage is the shape. I still think I need a piece to come through there, and I think it needs to be in those sorts of tones. What's this? What about that flower there? Can we make that look like the shape we want? Even though it's a flower, but it gives us that tone. So it's really taking the flower into a different direction. Therefore, that doesn't work. I'm going to put that away. That is better. Maybe we head to there. Yes, that's what we're going to do. That's just a little bit too cherry red, so we'll pop that back in the basket. This has got potential. So let's just take that shape. It's a little bit sharp. That's going to be the finish line. So we're sort of just building our way there. I think this red might be something to get us there. Maybe this might be better than the previous one. It's very plain, but when you use plain fabrics, you run the risk of not having the light there to bounce it around. No, that's all right. That actually works. So maybe this guy can come down more here. No, just not the right shape, but I think it could be still used. Yes, that's better. So that red is good to sit under that. What else have we got here? I want to be a little bit braver. Maybe we bring another piece of this in. And we try and get it to peek in here. Like that. That sort of brings it down onto the image, yes. So we still have a gap there, so I think we can get another petal. So what do we do there? Do we bring the darker fabric forward a little? Because we are deep in, I'm having to cut it off screen, sorry guys. It's sort of a, we want to give you the view of where we're going, but we also want to be able to see what we're doing to get there, the action. But because the camera's up tight, it makes it a bit tricky. There we go. That's good. So now we've just got this bottom down here. Maybe we bring in this sort of tone. It's connected to that fabric. Do we utilise that print and have the spots? No, it's too geometric. We have a bit of fur fringing. Do we bring that in? Or is that just bringing a whole nother texture in and we're changing? No, don't like it. Nope. I think we need to trim a petal out of it. It gives us a peek of that colour, but not those tassely bits. And so I'm going to put that one there. Yep. And then we work a piece in under here. So we're going to get quite light down there, I think. This here, is that getting crazy? Probably. Let's just take a little bit out. It's a very big grid. Oh no, I'm happy with that. Happy with that. So I need something here. Maybe we can do a really light, maybe we revisit these. So that, let's try, we've got those as an option. We bring that in there, a little flower. Yeah, I like that. I don't think they're right, so they were never used. That's, there we go. We have a flower. I really like that scroll. Can we find more scrolls? Where's that fabric? There's one there. There's another one out of bed. I can hear yabba yabba. Let's see if we can grab that scroll. Sort of just gives it that fantasy looking flower. It creates a little bit of interest. Gives us a shape, and we sort of tuck it in like so. Now I've got 2 and I'd really like 3. There's one there. Maybe we can grab that guy. So I'm cutting it out with a little bit extra fabric on it. It just helps build up its size a little because it is quite fine. The colour that's left around the outside of that red is tonal with this piece. Let's put that there. You know what I have to do now is I really want to change the leaves, but I'm not. No, we're going to make that our feature. That I feel like I could stitch into, and it's not going to feel tedious for me like stitching that rose would have. So what I need now is some long, thin pins. Let's grab my pins. If I was to try and put those applique pins in, they're really small and they wouldn't. I'd need heaps. So if I pin back out here and pin towards the centre, I'm hoping. So my stitching options here is to maybe use a stranded cotton 1 thread in the right colour. The chances of having something that would match is good because I've got, you know, more stranded cottons in colour range than pearl cottons. I'd need something fairly thin because this little flower is quite delicate. I could stitch around each petal, but it'd have to be a fine thread, which would look rather sweet. I could do just random invisible stitches, so they're technically secured, but you wouldn't see, you know, any stitches, which is sort of what see, there's a green flower there. I'm going to just move that, which is in turn given me the original flower again. So I need another piece of fabric in there. I wonder if I do the little stripy one. No, I think it's too bold. Or here's another one that might work we haven't used. Why don't we put a little bit of this in? Just a little pop of randomness. That can slide in there. Like so. And then we'll bring the scroll into there. So, I don't know, I'm thinking along the lines of just invisible stitch. Don't complicate the composition of the little flower. And finding a pinky red tone that would sort of disappear. Outlining it would be lovely. And then I'd probably go to a sewing machine thread, really fine, and doing little stitches around it all. I'm thinking along those lines. So that should be fairly secure because I've pinned it from all directions. That little guy there will move. I might just pop a pin. So long, thin pins can be your friend when you've got layers and layers of itty bitty bits. Okay, so there we go. So all my little scrappy bits can go. See, how far do you go with this? You could then forget about those leaves and start looking for greens and do some scrappy flowers. But I'm not going, scrappy leaves, I'm not going to, but I'm going to leave it at that. I know I said reds. All right, I think it's time to go to Grandma's threads, the wedding dressmaker's bridesmaids threads, and see if we can find a thread that would have been a bridesmaid's dress that suits. See, red's a tricky one. There wouldn't have been red often used in the world of bridesmaids, and everything's very pink here. This is nearly a rusty red too. What have we got? I might zoom up now, guys, so that you can sort of see what I'm looking at. That's too dark. That's too dark. That might work, that guy. Oh, it's a different colour again. What are these over here? That would do. Yeah, there we go. That'll do the trick. It's not even open. I remember as a kid going into her sewing room, and if there was a new project on the drawing board, you know, there'd be this stack of the fabric with the bride's fabric, the bridesmaid's fabrics, and then there'd be heaps of cottons. Like, how many cottons are we going to need? So there was just piles of these cottons. Just gorgeous. Them were the days. Then once I'd checked out the sewing room, I'd scamper down the hallway to the spare bedroom, and she had a queen-size bed in there, but it was like 4 or 5 mattresses all stacked up so that it was pretty much the height of her hands, just bent gently. Let me just zoom out a little bit. So that she wasn't stooping or leaning, and it was at, you know, a nice arm height. And that's where she had a big sheet of cardboard, which was a Knitwit. Remember Knitwit, guys? A Knitwit cutting board. So it was compressed cardboard that you could pin into and place out your, you know, your fabrics on. So she had 2 of those side by side across the top of this queen bed, and that's where she could, you know, piece and draft patterns. She didn't cut it there, but she did everything with scissors anyway, so it's not like you're using a rotary cutter, you know, when you're like cutting quilts out and things like that. Ah, gee, the memories. And hanging around the room would be coat hangers with portions of something in process, whether it's a finished dress or a shift or a petticoat, or, yeah, the fun of it. So my stitching is going to be little itty bitty stitches, and I'm going to start the centre, work my way out, and that should catch everything. So there we go. Oh, that's so much better than that dowdy rose. It was just not inspiring me. And I think I was getting frustrated. I was sitting in a chair that the morning sun really gets to, so I was getting a little bit hot. And I'd just pick this up, do a little bit of stitching. Someone else would turn up. Would you like a coffee? So I'd get up, make a coffee. Would you like a tea? Get up, make a tea. And every time I returned to the chair, I was hot. So I was getting a bit, I'm uncomfortable, and the chairs were filling up fast. And I was like, all right, let's do this, Rose. So I come in here and I got 4 containers of red thread. So I'm walking back out there with armfuls of thread. You know, got to be sociable. Sitting that all around me in this hot chair. And then, who'd like cornflakes? So it's time to make cornflakes for everyone. And, I'll have some toast. So we're all making toasts. And so I come back to this rose, which I obviously didn't like, just hadn't realised yet. But not so much the rose. I think it was the thread painting. And I'm looking at all my containers of red thread, and none of them were that rusty tone. I'm like, right, that's it. I'm not going to enjoy this. This is going to take probably 4 hours to stitch. I don't have 4 hours. And it's not that fun for me today. So I thought, right. So I've said to everyone, you lot be quiet. I'm going in here. I'm going to film this and then I'll be back. So that's how it went. So they're all sitting in there whispering while I do this for you. And I'm sure we'll be up to our second round of teas and coffees by the time I get back out there. These pins are going to be a bit of a nightmare, but just take your time. There's no rush. And we'll slowly get our stitches down. What I might do to get rid of pins is instead of doing that circular around, I might come straight out to that pin, catch that, and then start my way. So at least I am eliminating some pins early on in the piece. So there you go, I've just changed my tact. So what have we got planned today? Everyone wants fish and chips for dinner, so that's great. I don't have to cook that. We sliced the ham up and we've been eating a lot of ham, so I think they're getting sick of me feeding them ham. We had hot ham and with hot veggies. We had cold ham with cold salad. We had cold ham with cold salad and some warm veggies. So we've... And if they say, what's for lunch? What does Corrine say? Ham, cheese and tomato sandwich. So when I said to him last night, what do you want for dinner? Can we have fish and chip? Of course you can. We're yet to give the guests a bit of a tour of Barham too, so we're going to throw them in the car later, go for a derby. I think our friends are coming out with Patchy and Sky, so Pepper and Bandit will get, oh, don't do that. Pepper and Bandit will get a bit of a walk on the beach, on the lake, and have a swim. So that'll be a bit of entertainment for everyone. See, it's bed, breakfast, lunch, dinner, shower facilities, comfy pillows, and entertainment. And none of them like stitching, guys. Why am I whispering? No one does stitching. That's a bit disappointing, isn't it? Oh, it's all good. It's all good. So yeah, this is the plan. I am going to do little invisible stitches, tiny itty bitty stitches, and just slowly work my way around that little flower. One winter flower. Who knows what it's called? Doesn't exist in real life. Edith has found a brand new flower. The other stitching I did, I don't know if you can see it, there's lines cutting through everywhere of running stitch. I decided not to seed stitch it. I've just done layers of lines, so I might even come back with another colour now that I know how this is coming together and run some lines of those tones through. We will see. I think the natives are getting, Gaz is out now, so now the noise is going to really ramp up. I might toddle off. I'll be able to finish this. I'll be able to add my paper embellishments, and the next time you see me will be a new page in the second journal, and we can start a whole new project using same prompts, just stitching another little project. But that's good. I like this much better. I feel like the flowers come alive a little. All right, I'm going to toddle off. I can't stop. Once I get on a roll. Maybe I can convert them into stitches. My brother's not going to do that. Gary's mum's not going to do that. No, it's a lost cause. I just got to keep my own sanity with a little bit of stitching that I can enjoy, pick up. I thought I'd do some last night while they picked a Christmas movie to watch. Now, what was it? red one. So Santa movie, it's got Dwayne Johnson in it, The Rock. Oh, who was Santa? I know his face, but I can't remember his name. It was very good. I watched it a couple nights ago because our friends were up and this group haven't seen it. But we lasted an hour and everyone went to bed. I was very weary. Obviously, hosting guests wears me out, so my stitching is suffering. Oh, soon they'll be familiar with my kitchen and you know how it goes. Everyone just starts sort of helping themselves. So I will endeavour to continue training the guests so that they can make their own teas and coffee and breakfasts and lunches, and I can go stitch. I'm a shocking host, aren't I? You come to my place, you got to work or stitch. All right, guys, I'm going to toddle off. I can hear a ruckus. I better go. I know I've caught that pin, which I probably don't need, and I don't need. Oh, that's great. So we are making progress here. All right, look after yourselves. Enjoy your time with your family if you've got a house full. If you've got solitude and peace, lucky you. All right, guys. See you later. Bye. Hi, guys. I'm back. I think I just said goodbye to you and thought that'd be the end of it, but I ended up not using that first section of video, and I thought, you know, I'm just going to let it sit there. I will keep stitching, keep adding elements and link it all together. So what did I do in the last day? I stitched some of these leaves, not all of them, because some of them blended beautifully. It's that old adage that you go and change a colour scheme, that flower, and then suddenly some other elements just don't suit it. So these two in particular were really bright green. So I ended up using a variegated cotton, stitching those, and I stitched those two. I did half of him because it was half of that bright green and half of a green that actually matched my thread. And a little bit in there popped up, and I've left those two actually free. So what I've got is a semi-stitched leaves with the printed leaves. The printed leaves are so beautiful that I didn't want to lose them completely. So I decided just to do a selection of the ones that just were jarring. And I think these were pretty good from memory because I did this yesterday. These were pretty good, but I love the thread and how it went. So I thought I'll pop a couple here, a couple there, half of one there. So happy with all of that. I'm now going to add the paper napkin, but I thought before I do, remember I said that there are some running lines through here, here and across. So what I thought is, as I was coming to the table, I spotted this thread and it matches perfectly. So I thought before I start gluing, I want to do a little bit more stitching. And here's my little container that I had next to me at the couch. I want to just grab a little bit of this off. So I did consider using that red, which is the same as the berries, but it's just too much. The other thing I want to do is I also grabbed back the colour samplers to see if we can make that swatch, and I have my paints nearby in case there's something not quite right here, and I can create the little swatches like what's in the top of there, just, you know, swatches of colour that Fudgy, don't. I just shut the door to out in the patio. Not the patio, the next room. That's all right, he's settled down. I knew he'd do that. So what I would like to do is just drag a little bit of this pink ever so subtly. I'll use 3 strands because it sort of feels like it's about the thickness of the pearl cotton number 8. Maybe even 2 might be better, but we'll see how we go. And what we'll do, if I don't like it, I'm going to pull it out But I'd like to shadow that same line of stitching, just to give a pop of that pinky tone over here. I did think about doing some holly leaves, 3-dimensional in here, but it would overpower the embroidery. So I thought, no, just leave it. You know, when you're sitting around and just watching movies and chatting to family, you sort of want to keep stitching because you're in that mode. And you're really at the point where if you do any more, you're going to make it just look too much. That's what happened. So let's get this line in. Yeah, just want to continue the story of this additional stitching in the background. Yes, pussycat. Thinking a lot about the Roxy number 7 project too. I won't do any videos yet. I just want to get this whole holiday period out and use this time just to sit and stitch, catch up on the volume 6. And just let my head wander into volume 7. I think the thing I'm working through in my mind at the moment is the size of it. How big do I want to go? And a vase with flowers in it, sitting on a table, in my head, that feels like it needs to be large, because it will give us wriggle room to actually create. So I can sort of see why Rachel's doing a metre by metre piece or something around that sort of size. That sort of resonates when you sort of imagine everything that you want to get into your image. I'm sure you could do smaller. You'd find a small vase and petite little flowers. But I do think the grandeur of it's going to make it look quite impressive. Whether it ever makes it to my wall's another thing, but you know, oops, paper napkin flying everywhere. This just feels like it frames the piece a little more. I hope they're all in the right spot because I'm about to napkin the piece. I'll then let it dry because I need to take some of the visitors to town and do a few chores. So that'll give it the afternoon to dry. And then I can add it to my book, and I'll probably once again stop the video and come back and, you know, keep you guys dragging along with me. Not that you have much say in it. Yeah, just feel like it adds a little detail. Could probably do a whole lot more, but I think by the time we put the napkin onto the piece, there'll be plenty happening. Like I've done in previous video, the napkin can be stitched when completely dry, as long as you've added enough glue and the napkin has become the fabric. You can carefully stitch into it, and there's probably opportunity there that I'll investigate. Okay, what we might do is we're going to run a line through there as well. We'll follow again the others. So I can hear movement in the kitchen again. Been racing around doing chores all morning while everyone's still in bed, and I thought, oh, I've probably got 15 minutes before they'll start emerging. I can hear them already. Someone's in the shower. I've got a shower just to the side of my wall here, so I can hear someone's having a quick swim. Had lots of drop-in visitors too. It's been great because my brother and my mother-in-law are visiting. There's been quite a few. Oh gosh, it's not even threaded. Just drop in to say hello. So it's been fun. Have some different people to talk to. You know how it is. You talk to the usual every day. If you have some people around you, that is. And so it's like all new conversations. It is tiring. Excuse me, I'm going to cough. I think this is going to just help drag that pink elsewhere. Oops, don't jab. Settle down, don't catch that stitching. I'm not using the right needle for the task here. I've got a crewel needle that is like dragging through and that's crooked. I'm going to take it out. Change the needle, girl. Here we go. This is better. And because it's a feature straight line, having a little crooked stitch is really noticeable. So let's try that again. So let's get that little guy there straight. He was the one that went pear-shaped. And then when I popped up on the other side of those French knots, he was pear-shaped, but they then came back into line. So that's it. Longer needle can stack more stitches on it. The right needle for the right job. Fancy that. So the crewel needle that I was using is half the size, so you can't get a straight run as much. Oh, see, look at that. Fancy that. The right tool to the right job. The expert embroiderers out there that do those tutorial videos will be just shaking their head saying, exactly, girl. Okay, so let's finish you off with just a little stitch. That's good, it's not going to peek through. We had the best fish and chips for dinner last night. Everyone was like, you know, what are we having for dinner? Fish and chips. So we took off to Barham, and of course the fish and chip shop was closed. We're a little itty bitty town, so, you know, these things happen. So I was like, in my head, I had a little bit of a panic saying, well, I've got nothing really prepared, and I'd fed them ham multiple times. And I thought if I get back home and go, right, it's ham for dinner again, I think I'd have a revolt. So I thought, what the hang, we'll go for a drive. And halfway between here and the next town, Harvey Bay, there's a little area called Craignish, and there's a fish and chip shop there on the side of the road. And I thought, you know, we can go there. We got time. That's not secured real good. One little stitch, so we will need to address that. So, yeah, we drove to Craignish. Oh, we called in at the pub first. It was packed. Holiday season, what can you expect? Shenanigans at pubs is going to happen. Called in there, and it was still about 15 minutes before the kitchen opened for dinner service. And I went back out to the car. I had a carload of people. Excuse me. Because we did a tour around town as well, for those who hadn't seen this little town. And I had the car door open, and we were sitting there, and I was looking at the clock thinking, oh, 15, 20 minutes, we can wait. It's all good. So we're just chatting in the car, but my door was open because it was a nice sunny day, and this horsefly flew in and bam, got me on the ankle. Oh, gosh, they hurt. If you don't know what they are, look them up. Marsh flies, horse flies, they're big. And the moment they land on you, they get you. So I thought, right, that's it. So I shut the car door and I said, righto, guys, we're going to go for a drive. I'm not going to sit here waiting 15 minutes, all the 15 minutes, and get attacked by these big horseflies, and you know, you don't want your guests to go home with heaps of welts on them from the creatures that live near you. So off we went, and within 15 minutes we were at the next fish and chip shop. It was still, you know, pre-5 o'clock, so their phones were just starting to ring for phone orders, and there was a lady ordered in front of me, and that was it. So I ordered all our food. It was made within 10 minutes. I would have waited so much longer at the pub because it was like everyone was hovering around in the bar area and the veranda area. And I think the moment that the kitchen opened, they would have just pounced. And there would have been 100 people. Where at the Cragnish fish and chip shop was me and another lady and a phone ringing with orders. So we placed our order. We sat in the car and waited. No horseflies. And, yeah, we were back on the road by 5:30, dinner in hand. 5:45, back at the house, eating our fish and chips. Like, it was great. So that was our adventure. So I could do another line there and there, but, you know, I'm going to leave it because I think that's enough. It'll get very boxy if I do that. Where's the... See what I mean? That goes through there. I'll just leave it. Less is more. All right, so let's apply our napkin. Now, if I remember rightly, pieces went flying. I did take a photo of our layout from the other day, and the phone's in another room, so we're just going to go again. But I think 2 pieces, yeah, here we go. This little guy was like there, and that little guy was there. We might put him on first. So the theory is lots of glue in the right spot. Everything adheres, happy days. Now this glue goes on blue, dries clear, for those of you who are thinking, oh my goodness, what is she doing? And I just methodically work the area. I'll make that little guy stick as well while we're here. Can't hurt. And then I'll let this sit for most of the day. The longer it dries, the better. Look, it really should dry overnight, and then it'd be absolutely great. We'll line that up with that. Gently pat it down. You can get one of those screedy type things or a credit card, but just be careful. The thing with paper towel, once it gets damp, it easily disintegrates. So we'll just get a bit through here. You want all your edges secure. There's the thread. We don't need you. Thank you very much. Oops. Get you down. There's an opportunity to stitch all of those berries, but I probably won't because that's a lot of stitching for this type of collaging with the paper towel or the napkin. So I might just leave that. Then what I might do is put a few stitches into the holly leaves. At least they're spread apart. You sort of still need to consider that this is paper, and once you make a hole in paper, there's no coming back from it because it's a hole. Not like fabric. So how far does that come down? So we can sneak in there a bit. I thought a bit of my pink stitching might get covered, but that's okay. There is an opportunity to even stitch again through there. We'll see. I might end up using a bit of that space for the sampler, as in colours, fabrics. The other thing I haven't yet added is laces. So all decisions for to be made. Let's get all you down. Now, what was the story with this? I'm thinking we need more of a rough edge there. So where's my glue, my wet stick? Let's rough this up a bit so it's not so straight line. It's a softer. If you're wondering what I'm doing and I'm out of camera shot, it's just, it holds water. You undo there, you put in a little bit of water and it just works its way to the end. It's a really good little tool to have in your, oh, now I've wrecked the bird. A bit more water, less ripping. I've got glue on my fingers so it's gripped and torn, but it won't matter because when I put the glue on, that will just sit back and nicely hide the tear. All right. Rubbish bin, where are you? I think that's better. Yeah. And I think I can come across a little. If I was to get rid of that flower, what would happen there? Nothing. So I think I could trim that corner off. Yeah, then I see more of that holly leaf. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Just lift it up a little bit. Yep. Okay, so I'm adding glue from just above the flower right to the top. I'm really happy with the element of difference that this paper napkin adding to a slow stitch piece gave my work on the Edith, because it's allowed me to bring in additional imagery, especially for that sketchbooky feel. Isn't that a word? Sketchbooky. Get the little bird fixed. Tap, tap, tap. I could probably trim you down even more. Just bring you out a little bit. And I can see those little berries. It's really cool how you can manipulate your design. There's probably a little glue missing through there. But what we might do is just dampen it. Get rid of the napkin back to where the glue actually is. That'll save me trying to get glue in there. Okay, we've got our canopy. We might just whip along there with that water. Bring this piece off. So now I can see the fringing. Okay, so that's good. I've got glue everywhere. It doesn't matter because it's going to have to be glue dried anyway, so it won't matter that the piece has a bit of glue smearing. Now this little guy, he must have been down here, wasn't he? And then we just need to find a piece there. So what we might do is we'll get this little fellow in position. So we're coming at an angle, so his head's there and then down. We're going to lose his tail, but I can live with that. So we're going to come down through there. My French knots are going to get a little bit of coverage, but that's okay. Work my way up, a bit of glue there. I really like this blue glue stick because you know where you've been. You can easily see. For the newbies, I just get them at stationery stores. In Australia, we have a place called Officeworks that sell them individually or in a pack of 5, I think. Around the time the kids go back to school, check it out because you can get some really good deals. And I believe someone said they saw them at Woolworths. I've never seen it there because I've just had, you know, access to them through a stationery store, Officeworks. But it wouldn't surprise me that they're also at the Woolworths and Coles, and you know, they have those small stationery places. All right, so now we're starting to build in a bit of extra imagery. Now here, so we've got the option of we create a cluster of something. You know, like the fabric samples. I don't mind this. It sort of matches really, really well. So if that went there, and I could stitch that in. We've got leftover doily, and it wouldn't hurt to probably drag this element, which is over on the side, let me move that a bit, this side over to this side, to me would make sense. Shame it's curved and not straight, but I think I can live with that. I might even be able to manipulate it. Oops, 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 oops. Does it need to be straight? Don't want to interfere with little bird. Where's the journal? How's it sitting on the page? Gosh, I've got glue everywhere now. Let's just pick her up. Let's get rid of that pad. Let's pop it in and have a look at it in the journal. Oh, okay, so I could have the curve and having those bits out. Okay, let's lift that up a bit because we're interfering with the little guy below. We can take that right through. We are covering some tails. What are we going to do? Might let it hang out a little bit more. How does that? Yeah, that's all right. Okay. I think that'll go there. Now let's have a look at you again. This is where we start, maybe the cluster of bits and pieces. So that there, just to give us a pop of colour. Then we need something coming through. What else have we got? Oh gee, that's pretty darn good. Maybe we do that next. Through there. Cut it at the 11, 12. Cut it at the 11. So that can come in as part of our little sampler. How are we going for space? We're not quite at the edge of my work, so I probably need a little something something. Got some leaves. Gee, they're not bad. Let's cut that there. So these are the selvages for the newbies. When you buy fabric, often the factories will put a print test. I've got glue, paper napkin everywhere here. they'll put a print test of all the colours, and all us kids in the slow stitching community, we love those little morsels because they're very interesting little elements that can be added. So if we can get that flower to pop over that, just adds a little bit extra interest. I'm going to lift the big one up a bit, put the little one higher. Little birdies there. I've got this little piece still. No. Oh, maybe this could go to the opposite side of the page. Look. Maybe it can go up here as a bit of a tab. Yeah, let's do that. That's dragging that imagery to the opposite side of the page, which helps it look like I know what I'm doing. See what I mean? It sort of feels like it's part of the story. We need something here, and I don't think that's... Do we look at our napkin? Let's have another look at that. What if we added another, either some berries or a leaf? This leaf here, I think, is what I want to do. I won't be able to add it until I stitch this in, which is done after it all dries. So this is going to continue. So I'm just going to dissect this little guy out, hopefully. And my thought is that once that little fabric sampler is stitched in, I'll probably do some running stitch. That pink thread I might run through there. I might even stitch the edge of the crocheted doily. And this, when that's all done, I think we'll slide in here so it looks like it's, you know, extending our imagery from our little bird, like there. I think that will be the final piece. Yes, yes. So I won't need my paints. I think we've got enough happening. All right, so what are we going to do? We're going to pin this. So I know, and I might invisible stitch this so it's all sort of connected, these two pieces in particular. That little guy is an add-on, so that's fine. I'll just pin him there just so I don't lose him. Pull that out of there before the glue grabs it. So this little cluster, I can do a little bit of, you know, decorative stitching on it just to highlight. And I'm thinking, you know, drag in that and that, not that, oh goodness, those two, just to bring it all together. All right, so that's going to go there. I'll need those. I've got glue on my fingers. Where's my little tray? Oops, oh my goodness, glue everywhere. That, don't need that, don't need that. So there's my little bit of homework. That's not much stitching. Put the glue away. So I just need to keep you safe. I'll put you out of the way. So there's my page. It now needs to sit and dry. Okay. All right, I'm going to pause the video. So we could even sneak back with more leaves. let's pretend that I go back to that napkin, find myself more leaves and berries, and I can do things like that with some berries to sort of, you know, drag in this imagery down here, which I suspect I will do. I won't be able to help myself. And I could probably do that now because it's not going to be interfered with when I do that stitching. So what have we got? You're perfect for up here. So you stay out of my way. I don't really want to take anything around a bird because a bird is a future something something. Does it matter? See, that there's perfect. Let's just do it. So I'm going to dissect that very carefully. I don't want to tear the green because the water really bled into that little leaf. Oh, we got it. Steady. Got it. Okay. Birdie's still intact for a rainy day. You never know. And I think this will work. I want to get rid of the brown of the bird branch. So we just pinch you out. I think we could probably, got glue everywhere, lose them a little. They sort of don't make sense. So if we can pinch that red out. That works. So now the red's gone and we just bring that in there. So it looks like this shrubbery is peeking through that other side. Then that's it. We just add that additional leaf from before when we're ready. So let's get some glue. Oh, goodness, guys. It's a sign to stop mucking around with glue when your fingers are catching everything. It's probably too much, but it is the join in the book. So I'd rather have, it's the fold in the book. I'd rather have excess glue, knowing that it'll hold itself, than not enough. Give it a little pat so it all secures. Done. All right, guys, I will pause the video again and I will be back and it should be finished. That'll be in place. Everything will be dry. A few little stitchy things everywhere and our page will be complete. All right, guys. Back in a moment. Probably another day would have gone by and I'm sure another adventure and story will be available. All right, back in a moment. Hello everyone, I'm back again. The page is finished, the page is dry, well nearly dry. There's a few little areas that still feel a little bit cool and I can see a little blue, so they'll dry over the next few hours. But the page is done, so tick. Finished. So now it just comes down to popping it in the journal, which I won't hold you up and do on camera. I will say goodbye and let you go for the day. and I'll just attach that page in, and that's it. The journal is finished. The Edith Holden tribute journal is finished. Love it. Just love it. Really happy with it. Looking forward to the next project. I do have my own backyard version of this to go, and there's multiple pages in there. I'm not going to rush it. I'm just going to do pages from time to time. There's no reason why I'm going to, have to cram it all into a week or so. I want to enjoy the process. All right, guys, take care. Have a lovely break. Hopefully you're getting lots of stitching done, and we'll see you all in the next video. Bye for now.